The cannabis industry is one of the most exciting in the United States here, where it's becoming legalized and where there's a lot of growth. But a lot of these organizations are struggling with how to use technology to help them scale for their growth. So what I want to talk about here today is how cannabis organizations can use enterprise technologies or ERP systems to help scale for growth. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients through their digital transformation journeys. And as I mentioned, cannabis organizations that produce, manufacture, distribute cannabis and cannabis-based products are one of the highest growth areas within the United States and some other parts of the world as well. Now, it's an exciting industry because it's an emerging industry, it's a young industry, and there's still technology being developed to help enable the growth and to help further the scalability of these organizations. So what I want to do today is talk about how ERP systems or enterprise resource planning technology can help you scale for the growth of your organization, particularly as you move from a small mom and pop operation into a larger, more robust organization over the years. One of the things that we find most intriguing about the cannabis industry is the level of vertical integration that we consistently see in that space. There's not a lot of industries where there's complete vertical integration across the entire supply chain, from the initial acquisition of seeds and those raw materials that are then planted and cultivated and grown over time, and then ultimately harvested. And then you have an end product that's either the bud itself, or in many cases, it's some sort of product that's being made with cannabis. So things like gummies or topical creams and things of that nature. So that whole vertical integration from initial seed all the way through end product, through distribution and sale to the end consumer, is something that requires an extreme amount of vertical integration and extreme opportunity to use technology to automate and tie together all these different business processes throughout your supply chain. In addition to what I just described at a high level, you also have things like environmental considerations as far as the temperature and the humidity and other things that factor into the cultivation of the product, as well as lighting and other factors like that. So there's a lot to think about as you think about the vertical integration, and there's an opportunity for ERP systems or enterprise technologies to tie that all together. Now, one of the challenges with the cannabis industry is that there's not a lot of technology that has been built specifically for the industry. So while there are certain systems out there, like, for example, Cannabis 365, which is an ERP system that's built on the Microsoft Dynamics 365 platform, but it was built specifically for the cannabis industry. There's also DCOM, which is a general manufacturing product that has a certain customer base within the cannabis space. Those and other products in the industry aren't quite mature enough to handle some really large cannabis operations, but they are good enough to address some of the mid-size levels that many cannabis operators are reaching here in recent years. So one thing to think about as you're evaluating potential ERP solutions is looking at what other cannabis providers are using that technology, but also looking at the scalability and the level of vertical integration that I talked about before that's inherent within that product that you might be considering. And I mentioned two potential products. There's a host of other solutions out there that we see some of our cannabis clients leveraging as well. One other thing to think about as you're considering potential ERP systems and other technologies for your cannabis operations is the ability of that technology to be able to integrate with some of the regulatory requirements you have. So for example, in the United States, there's a system called the metric database that requires cannabis operators to track customers and to track lots and be able to trace back product that's being sold to end consumers. So you need to make sure that whatever core ERP system or other technologies you put in place can integrate with the metric system, and that's certainly not really an option to replace that system. So you need to make sure that you have an open architecture with that chosen ERP system that can integrate with metric and other types of systems that you might need to help manage your entire operations from seed to harvest. Many cannabis operators in the US and other parts of the world are selling direct to consumers at some point in their supply chain. So having e-commerce capabilities and point of sale capabilities is another differentiator for different ERP systems in the marketplace. And that's a good way to narrow the playing field down if you're looking at a lot of different options. There's hundreds of options out there in the marketplace as far as potential ERP systems, but not all of them handle e-commerce and point of sale well. Not all of them, by the way, handle the vertical integration of your supply chain well either. So those are two easy ways to sort of narrow down the field quickly so you're not overanalyzing systems that just aren't going to be a good fit for your cannabis operations. So that's one thing to look at too, is how well can the technology solution that you're looking at and considering, how well can that enable your point of sale, e-commerce, and or retail operations if you're a retail cannabis operator. Now, we've helped cannabis producers throughout the world with their technology initiatives, including selecting the best ERP system. And although those ERP systems are not quite mature enough compared to other industries out there, as far as, a manufacturer of widgets, let's just say, there's more mature products out there that can handle the production of widgets because it's been around forever and the technology has had a chance to catch up to the industry. Cannabis, on the other hand, is moving so quickly and growing so quickly that the ERP systems out there largely haven't really kept up yet with that space. But the good news is there's a lot of technologies and vendors that are investing heavily in that space and developing the capabilities to support this exciting new industry. So I hope you found this information useful, and for more information about potential systems out there in the marketplace and just general best practices about ERP systems and digital transformations in general, I encourage you to download our 2021 Digital Transformation Report, which includes rankings of different systems in the marketplace that might help your cannabis operations grow and be more scalable in the future. And if you'd like to discuss more how ERP systems could help your organization, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to be an independent sounding board for you as you continue your journey. So I hope you found this information useful, and have a great day.